That's all I'm trying
I
to say.
decided on mud.
But at last, the whole...
Sometimes life or death makes even the most offensive situation tolerable.
Citizens across Europe are finding different ways to beat the heat. Natural sunscreen to the rescue. This surprising sight is from Queen's Beach. It's the most famous beach in the town of Nin, Croatia. Ditching their sunscreens, locals and tourists slathered themselves in mud. Apparently it's an age-old trick to prevent sunburn.
Odlučili se za blato, sam se odlučila zbog problema.
I decided on mud because of the skin problems I have. If it didn't help, I wouldn't have been coming here for 20 years. You can't compare it with the protection factor of sunscreen. With mud, there is just no chance of getting sunburned. But it's strenuous.
A pretty messy affair indeed. And then there was this.
Okay? Even racist situations. Like, for example, blackface is wrong. Racist, cannot do it. We agree? We agree. Okay, good. Blackface is wrong. Can't do it. Good. Cannot do it. Blackface is wrong. Well, I have to ask the blackfaces. I fucking rest of y'all. Your opinions don't matter. It's up to them. They make the rules. Blackface is wrong. It's racist. You cannot do it. Okay? Under no circumstances. Cannot do it. Then you see them Navy SEALs commercials. You're like, all right, well, kind of sometimes you could do it. Right? The whole Navy SEALs commercial is like, look how cool blackface is on a helicopter. Look how cool blackface is on a boat. Blackface in the water, they can swim. I don't know if they say that. I don't know if they say that. I might have added that part. I might have added that part. That's on me. But I'm just saying, life or death situation, it changes the stakes.
Greetings. This is Brother Eli with another episode of Bible Truth Revealed. Today's teaching is entitled, The Lie of Jacob's Trouble. That is, the lie of Jacob's trouble. Many Israelites mistakenly believe that at some point in the future, we will experience suffering like never before in a time referred to as Jacob's trouble. In other words, they think that we, the Israelites, will suffer more than our forefathers did during the transatlantic slave trade. The pale-faced people hunted our forefathers and foremothers like animals, and they raped and lynched them on a massive scale. Israelite babies were kept in cages and used as alligator bait. Our skins were used to make shoes and purses for the pale-faced people. Yet we are expected to believe that all that suffering was nothing compared to what we will supposedly experience in the time referred to as Jacob's trouble. This erroneous idea of Jacob's trouble comes from Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7 in Christian and Jewish Bibles. Today, I will expose this false doctrine and answer the following questions. 1. What exactly is Jacob's trouble? 2. What is the true meaning of Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7? And 3. When will this prophecy be fulfilled? Question number 1. What exactly is Jacob's trouble? Jacob's trouble is a false doctrine about great suffering that will supposedly come upon the Israelites, also known as Jacob, in the last days. Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7 in the King James Version of the Christian Bible says this: Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So according to this deception, the Israelites, also known as Jacob, will experience a time of trouble like never before in history. That's the meaning of so that none is like it. This deception, like many others, comes from the corrupt Masoretic text that Christian and Jewish Bibles are translated from. On the other hand, the Septuagint, which dates back to 250 years before the invention of Christianity, does not support this false doctrine. As a Septuagint was translated hundreds of years before the Masoretic text, we can use it to discover what the Holy Scriptures actually said before the Jewish deceivers got their grubby hands on them. Question number 2. What is the true meaning of Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7? Jeremiah chapter 30 in the Christian Bible is Jeremiah chapter 37 in the Septuagint. I'll be reading from the Brenton Septuagint Translation. That's Jeremiah chapter 37 verses 4 to 9. Jeremiah chapter 37 verses 4 to 9 reads thus. And these are the words which the Lord spoke concerning Israel and Judah. Thus said the Lord, ye, meaning Israel and Judah, shall hear a sound of fear. There is fear and there is not peace. Enquire and see if a male has borne a child. So Israel and Judah, which is a ye, is being told to inquire and see if a male has borne a child. And ask concerning the fair, wherein they, that some other people, that is not Israel and Judah. Israel and Judah is a ye that is being addressed, and Israel and Judah, ye, are being told to inquire and see if a male has borne a child. Wherein they, the other people, shall hold their loins. Israel and Judah shall not be holding our loins, because the destruction is not coming on us. It is coming on them, the other people. It continues, and look for safety. For I have seen every man, and his hands are on his loins. Their faces, it does not say your faces, Israel and Judah, but their faces, the other people's faces, those people who have their hands on their loins, their faces are turned to paleness. Israel and Judah are so-called black people. Our faces do not turn to paleness. This they is not referring to us. Again, the word ye is plural for you. It is referring to the children of Israel, which is Israel and Judah. The word they is referring to another group of people who will hold their loins as they wet themselves through fear, because their destruction has finally come. It is the pale-faced people who will turn even more pale as the blood drains from their faces when they see the giants of the Most High coming to destroy them for what they have done to his people. For details of the annihilation of our pale-faced oppressors, please listen to my teaching entitled, The Day of the Lord. That is, the day of the Lord. Verse 7. For that day is great, and there is not such another. and it is a time of straightness to Jacob, but he shall be saved out of it. The word straightness comes from the root word straight. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines the word straight as a situation of confusion or distress. Because someone is in a situation of confusion or distress does not mean that the trouble is theirs. They can be confused or distressed about someone else's trouble. Most Israelites will experience confusion or distress on the day of the Lord because they will not understand why their pale-faced idols are being slain by giants. For hundreds of years, our people have been brainwashed to idolize the pale-faced oppressor. Therefore, it will be very confusing and distressing to see the pale-faced people begging for their lives while the giants of the Most High tear them into pieces with their bare hands. Verse 8. In that day, said the Lord, I will break the yoke off their neck and will burst their bonds, and they shall no longer serve strangers. When that day comes, when our pale-faced oppressors are destroyed, that will be the end of our servitude, the end of our slavery, the end of our captivity. And that's why the Most High says that in that day, that is the day of the Lord, He will break the yoke off our neck, He will burst our bonds, and we will no longer serve strangers. Verse 9. But they shall serve the Lord their God. We will only serve the Most High. We will no longer serve the false god and idol of our Christian slave masters, the one they call JC, but we will serve the Most High only. And I will raise up to them David their king. It is in this day that our captivity will finally come to an end. We will never have to serve our enemies again. We will serve the Most High only, and He will raise up or resurrect King David to rule over us in the coming kingdom. To learn more about this fact, please listen to my teaching entitled The Resurrection of the Righteous. That is, the resurrection of the righteous. Question number 3. When will this prophecy be fulfilled? Jeremiah chapter 37 in the Brenton Septuagint Translation is chapter 30 in the KJV. I'll be reading verses 23 to 24. That's Jeremiah chapter 37 verses 23 to 24. It says, For the wrathful anger of the Lord has gone forth. Even a whirlwind of anger has gone forth. It shall come upon the ungodly. The fierce anger of the Lord shall not return until He shall execute it, and until He shall establish the purpose of His heart. And the purpose of His heart is to deliver the children of Israel from captivity and to destroy the pale-faced oppressor. It continues, In the latter days ye shall know these things. We shall know these things in the latter days, because we will see them with our own eyes in the latter days. We are now in the latter days. This is when this prophecy will be fulfilled, in the latter days. This prophecy continues into the next chapter. So I'll be reading Jeremiah chapter 38 verse 1 and verses 7 to 8. Jeremiah chapter 38 in the Brenton Septuagint Translation is chapter 31 in the KJV. And I'm reading verse 1 and verses 7 to 8. Verse 1. At that time, saith the Lord, I will be a God to the family of Israel, and they shall be to me a people. This will happen in the latter days. Verse 7. For thus says the Lord to Jacob, rejoice ye and exult over the head of the nations. It's saying rejoice over the head of the nations because you're going to rule over the nations. Make proclamation and praise ye. Say, the Lord has delivered his people, the remnant of Israel. This is what this prophecy is about. The deliverance of the Israelites and the destruction of our pale-faced oppressors. Verse 8. Behold, I bring them from the north, and will gather them from the end of the earth to the feast of the Passover. To the feast of the Passover. It continues, and the people shall beget a great multitude, and they shall return hither. Not only will our pale-faced oppressors be annihilated in the latter days, but the righteous remnant of Israel will be back in our land in time to celebrate the feast of the Passover. This is another important fact that is missing from Christian and Jewish Bible. Choose your Bible carefully.
These forests, they've been growing there for at least 65 million years.
It's like you are in another world.
The scriptures give account that there were many giants throughout the land of Canaan after the flood. Where did they come from?
And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants. And we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. The Emims dwelt therein in times past, a people great and many, and tall as the Anakims, which also were accounted giants as the Anakims, but the Moabites call them Emims. For only Og king of Bashan remained of the remnant of giants. Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. Is it not in Rabbath of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits was the length thereof, and 4 cubits the breadth of it after the cubit of a man.
The Book of Enoch 7:11 through 12. And the women conceiving brought forth giants, whose stature was each 300 cubits. These devoured all which the labor of men produced, until it became impossible to feed them. Most Christians try to discredit the Book of Enoch based on the passage that says the giants were 300 cubits tall, which makes the giants around 450 feet. That's pretty incredible, and seems to be questionable. The scribes and translators must have made an error, and the actual text could have read 30 cubits instead of 300. Making the giants about 45 feet tall, which is in accordance to some of the remains being found.
I find it strange that Christians are willing to discredit the Book of Enoch based on a couple of errors. But the King James Version has hundreds of such errors, not to mention Christianity itself is full of errors.
Operation Enduring Freedom in 2002, an unusual incident occurred. A rescue crew was dispatched to investigate the vanishing of a group of troops. The squad discovered the cave with army equipment spread about, but no evidence of the missing troops. That's when they came upon the Kandahar Giant. The Kandahar Giant was 13 feet tall, with blazing red hair, 6 fingers, and 2 sets of fangs. It even murdered one of the Special Forces guys with a spear before being taken down by the remainder of the team with 30 seconds of relentless firing. After they radioed it in, the army took the corpse and has kept it buried ever since. The soldiers were ordered to sign non-disclosure agreements in order for the government to keep everyone silent. However, the troops ultimately broke their silence because, as one of the guys subsequently stated, people have a right to know the truth. This is the only real giant witness.
The Book of Enoch, it's one of those that's accepted by some and rejected by others. It is a very controversial book because it raises a lot of questions about the identity of certain racial groups, and it brings greater understanding to many of the mystical things that are greatly misunderstood today. You have the question of the giants, the spirits that roam the earth, the elements of end-time prophecy, and so much more that are very difficult to simply just dismiss because there's just too much starting to make sense as certain events unfold.
We know for a fact that there were giants in the land of Canaan after the flood. Where did they come from? The Book of Enoch and the Book of the Giants give very good information about the giants and the fallen angels they sprung for, and who their descendants are.
The Book of Giants is an apocrypha Hebrew book expanding a narrative in the Bible. Its discovery at Qumran dates the text's creation to before the 2nd century BC. The Book of Giants is thought to have been based on the Book of Enoch, a pseudepigraphical Hebraic work from the 3rd century BC, itself based on Genesis 6, 1-4, concerning the Nephilim, which, in the Enoch version, are the offspring of fallen angels. Aramaic fragments, along with other fragments from the Book of Enoch, were found among the Dead Sea Scrolls at Qumran. The text relates how some giants, named Oya, Ahaya, and Mahweh, sons of the fallen angels, have some dreams that foresee the biblical flood. The Book of Giants, Fragment J, verses 27. Thereupon the giants began to kill each other and to abduct their wives. The creatures too began to kill each other. They chose beautiful women and demanded them in marriage. So did all carried off severally. They were subjected to tasks and services. And they from each city, and were ordered to serve the Messenians of Messenia, which was a region of Greece.
The first Messenian War was a war between Messenia and Sparta. It took place around 754 BC. In 480 BC, Leonidas, Sparta, sacrifices 300 Spartan soldiers at the Battle of Thermopylae so the main forces can escape the Persians. This is where we get the movie 300 from. Of course, they made a lot of changes to the original story. Now, why is this so important? These early nations were all descendants of fallen angels, which the Nephilim sprang forth from.
Most authors have not taken into account that this Nephilim and their children the Eliud could reproduce. This explains some of the strangeness of ancient mythology. Moreover, perhaps were humanoids, such as the Neanderthals came from, and why they are not of the same DNA branch as modern humans out of Africa. However, Neanderthals were not the only hominin species that humans mated with. According to a new study, East Asian and European populations share genes with the Neanderthal. Also, East Asians share genes with the mysterious archaic hominin species that lived in Siberia, the Denisovians that are close cousin to the Neanderthal.
And that's what we're here for today, to save the little that's left of this sort of magnificence.
Spiritual connection with that forest, then he's willing to fight for it.
We are here to stop destruction, to exhibit love, and to put things right.
The train network all humming around and buzzing, and we had no sense of that when we walked through the forest.
I came out of jail one day, the next day was elected into Parliament.
The worst nightmare of the major parties had become a reality.
There's no doubt that people felt like he had no place to be in Parliament. A gay man, and then women turned up.
It was an incredible baptism by fire.
Oh, well, I've had shots fired in my direction. Vigilantes come in the night.
What you did say was a complete embarrassment, not only to yourself, but to the Australian people.
I thought I was on my own for the rest of my life. How wrong I was.
The story of life is a story of daring leaps across species boundaries.
In conclusion, Jacob's trouble is a false doctrine that is based on the Jewish Masoretic text. When the Most High rescues us in the day of the Lord, it is our pale-faced enemies who will suffer like never before. Jacob has suffered enough.
Praises of him who have called you out of darkness into his marvelous light.
Bible in my hand, word inside my heart, and pain before my eyes.
People living in Asia had dark skin color and roots in Africa as their genes tell the entire story. However, it is often hard to trust DNA studies without actually seeing black features in Asian people. Yet founding pictures showing the truth was difficult. But now, it has become profound as pictures captured by explorer photographers have surfaced, bridging the gap between contemporary Asia and Africa. Proving the African roots of Asia and the out-of-Africa theory legitimate are the 18th, 19th, and 20th century pictures of Asian people. These pictures show what history missed. Welcome to a new episode of Black Culture Diary, a channel where we talk about less known and hidden black history, culture, arts, and lost civilization. We scrutinize history here to bring the black culture back on the surface again. We would like to thank you, the members of our community who have been watching our videos and supporting us. For those who are new, we encourage you to join our community in supporting and building a strong black history education medium. This episode is a sequel to the first episode we posted on dark-skinned Asian people. Watch the video to have observable evidence of Asia's African black roots. Let's get started. Number 1. Boy. Smiling in tattered rags, in the west-central region of China, where we'll uncover the wonders of Sichuan province, a vast and significant place in the country that holds recorded history. In the heart of this tale lies a mesmerizing photograph, captured by Sidney D. Gamble. In the picture, there's a young boy with the brightest smile you can imagine. But if you look closely, you'll see his clothes are worn and torn, telling a story of tough times. Not only that, but he has dark skin and facial features that are more similar to African people. We don't see the distinctive laughing gestures on Asian faces as this boy is showing. It's a powerful image, filled with emotion and depth. This photograph was taken in a hidden gem called So Village, surrounded by the breathtaking landscapes of Sichuan province. This picture of a boy standing alone does not mean that the region had only one Asian boy with dark skin. Rather, it strengthens the fact that the majority of the population was dark-skinned Asians, out of which the photographer captured one boy in his picture. Number 2. Hospital ward in Fuzhou. This fascinating picture, captured in a hospital ward, shows something special. A group of 2 nurses, a mother, and her newborn at MITE Memorial Hospital in the city of Fuzhou. But they all had one similarity. They are dark-skinned, including the newborn, changing the entire concept of how Asians become black. Earlier, an argument was given that Asian people had dark skin because they worked in sunlight. In other words, the point was that melanin production increased due to external factors, not the genes in them. However, the newborn has not yet seen sunlight, but he is dark-skinned. This proves that, back in the early 20th century, Asians still had African genes which manifested themselves. The picture was taken way back in October 1919. What's even more intriguing is that these women lived during the same time as the smiling boy in his torn clothes. Number 3. Contrast of Chinese ethnicities. The fascinating quest to uncover the history of black Chinese individuals always takes us to ancient China and pictures taken by famous photographers like John Thompson. In this particular picture, 2 women stood out, representing different ethnic groups in China. On the right, there was a woman from the Han ethnic group, which is now the biggest population in China. And on the left, a young field woman from Fuzhou caught our attention, giving us a peek into the lives of the Aboriginal people who once lived in Fujian province. But there was more to this intriguing tale. Anthropological science stepped in to reveal an even more remarkable connection. It suggested that some of China's Aboriginal groups might have distant ties to the Melanesian people, who live in the South Pacific Islands and are often called Black Islanders. These 2 groups from faraway places had shared ancestors who once called the Asian mainland their home long ago. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. Number 4. Dozens of dark-skinned men ready to be executed. Once upon a time, in the year 1902, an American photographer named James Ricalton wrote a book called The Boxer Uprising. In this book, he shared a very eerie photograph that he had taken. The picture showed a group of several dozen men who were facing a terrible fate. They were going to be executed soon because of their involvement in something called the Boxer Rebellion. The Boxer Rebellion was a very violent and angry uprising that happened between the years 1899 and 1901. It was against foreigners and Christians. The aftermath of this event even inspired some movies like Fearless with Jet Li and Fist of Fury with Bruce Lee. Now, what's interesting is that even though these movies talk about the Boxer Rebellion, the actors in them don't look like the non-Han Chinese people we see in Ricalton's photograph. Unfortunately, Ricalton himself had some mean and hurtful ideas about these people in the picture. He used words that were not nice, like calling them dusky and unattractive, and comparing them to natives from faraway islands like Borneo and Fiji. He even questioned their intelligence and looks, saying bad things about their character and calling them morose, miserable, and vicious. Number 5. Dark-skinned Asian family munching Tianjin. Among the fascinating photos we have seen, there's one that truly stands out. It captures a family dining together amidst the rubble left behind by the Boxer Rebellion. Despite their home being destroyed, they wear smiles on their faces, as described by Ricalton. But there is something more in the picture. The entire family seems more similar to an African family than the present-day Chinese family. It's because the men in the picture seem strong and the entire family has dark skin. Even if the facial features are more similar to Chinese, the African genes exist which are coloring the skin dark. What's even more captivating is that this family belongs to the lower class, something many Chinese people experienced during that time. The author is amazed that they sit happily under the scorching midsummer sun without any head cover, just like other low-income families he has seen. This photo gives us a special peek into the lives of ordinary Chinese people during the Boxer Rebellion, showing us the tough times they faced and their remarkable strength. Number 6. Black tea cultivation in Canton. This photo comes from Thompson's Illustrations of China and Its People, in which we see the city of Canton. In that city, the cultivation of black tea in Guangdong province had been very famous. The tea leaves were carefully sorted, separating the valuable ones from the stems and unwanted parts. This delicate task was often entrusted to women or children who handled it with skill and care. The photo captures 4 women fully engrossed in this leaf sorting process, and one of them, seated to the left, holds a special significance. It's because not only the Chinese woman is dark-skinned, but she also has facial features like African women. The remaining 3 Chinese women on the right also have dark skin. However, their Chinese facial features have tried to suppress that. Number 7. Chinese lute player. With her child. In the captivating collection of Illustrations of China and Its People, we come across a heartwarming scene. A skilled woman is playing the pipa, a traditional Chinese lute, while her son stands beside her with his head lowered, sharing a tender moment. But that's not all. We find something fascinating when we look closer. The Chinese woman seems less dark-skinned. However, her facial features are all but different than Chinese. Her son clearly has a black complexion, yet his facial features are more Chinese than African. You see, due to the presence of African genes, which became dominant or recessive depending on gene expression, everyone showed a unique appearance. However, they all have had the African element, showing that Asian people are descendants of Africans. Did you see these pictures earlier? Don't they prove that Asian people are descendants of African people, no matter how much they deny that? Let us know your opinion on this and whether you believe in the out of Africa theory. Decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.